It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Flying down from Nova Scotia today.
This nation was founded by men of many nations and backgrounds.
I have a dream that all men are created equal.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Doom Nation, what's up, guys? We are back again. We hope you enjoyed our last episode, the Halloween special. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was a good time.
And today we have another special episode. Our good friend Alan from the Great Divide podcast. What's going on, pal?
What's up, guys? It's happening. Thanks for having me.
Long time no talk, right?
Yeah, wait, where are you guys just on my show?
This is part 2. We were just on Alan's podcast before this, so now we're doing our part. Why don't you tell everybody first before we get started here, Alan? Like, where can they find your show, about you, etc. The whole shebang.
Well, we still have the listeners.
Well, you could find me on Pornhub. No, I'm only kidding. I'm just
boy, are you with our buddy Jamie?
Yeah, our buddy Jimbo Slice, man. Yeah. We're trying to get him hired by Pornhub.
Boy.
Yeah. You ever see the meme or the GIF or whatever, the video of the dude filming the porn eating the eclair?
Yes.
Okay. Our boy Jamie looks kind of like that. And that is his new dream. He just wants to eat donuts and film porn.
I mean, it's probably better than what any of us do.
It's better than my job.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So, Great Divide Podcast. That's me. I'm all over the place. So I'm like broken glass. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. Great Divide.
You're not on TikTok.
I'm not on TikTok. I'm banned for life. They hate me. Fuck China. Are we allowed to curse on your show?
You could curse. Yes, you could curse.
Okay. Fuck China. I'll say it again.
Yeah. So Alan's part of our Patriot podcast group chat, I guess you could say, on Instagram. We were talking about this a little bit on your episode. And about how, like, we're kind of filling the void for what's the corporate press now, the corporate media. And I wanted to make the point before, but we kind of get carried away on your show that we complain a lot, right, about social media and Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg and whatnot. I think you'd agree, right? Probably we all have like a negative view of social media. But I'll say, like, our little community, our friendships that we've made across all these podcasts, that's one of the good things about social media.
That's what
That's
what Facebook was started for, Well, I mean,
I don't hate social media. Okay. Like it's going to sound like I love Facebook, but not because of, I don't love where Facebook's values are, not Zuck the cuck or anything like that. But us as podcasters, we use it as a tool. We get pissed off when Facebook takes part of our content down, or even when YouTube takes part of our content down, because they're just, tyrannical communists.
They don't like the truth.
But in essence, people like us, we ride the line, we ride the fence, we say what we say, and we sometimes push the envelope where there is a chance that any episode we do, if they're not liking what we're saying or our political views, which they hate anyway, they might remove our content. So, but we rely on social media to get our content out there. Obviously, unless, like, I have a dedicated website with my content on it, but some people don't, and it's important in our community. Like, there's like 6 or 7 of us podcasters, different shows, and we all run the line of the same political values for the most part. And you're on my show, I'm on your show. Same with the other guys, Sergeant and Samurai, We the People, all them. And like we had just talked about, our mainstream media sucks. It's their news actors, and it's people like us that have to fill that void and get real talk out there, because we're real Americans. We're just Joe Schmoes talking about what's going on in the world and asking questions,
Yeah, definitely. So I do think, like, that's we are kind of like acting out or living the original purpose of social media by, like, these friendships that we've made here. And it sucks that that's kind of been lost somewhat over the course of the years. But social media is like a new thing too. What is it, 10, 15 years old now?
It's old enough.
It's
MySpace. Remember MySpace?
Tom's the only one laughing, man.
Hopefully humans will figure out how to navigate social media in the next 20, 30 years.
So.
We're old men. We'll look back and be like, remember when everybody hated each other?
Yeah.
And it took us 30 years to figure out how to communicate the right way. So we'll see.
Social media was so much more fun when like you would post something and like the hot girl you were friends with on Facebook that maybe you might have met her once or twice and she likes it and you're like, oh yeah, she liked my post.
Yeah.
She wants the D.
Yeah. Or if she put you on her MySpace top 10
friends
or whatever. Oh yeah, forget it.
That's where all social media drama started. That top 10 on MySpace ruined relationships, friendships, everything. Oh man, if you had 11 friends, you just lost one friend. Yeah.
Or if your girlfriend, why is this bitch on your MySpace top 10? Like, I ran out of
funny concept. That concept has died. Right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Not a thing anymore for whatever reason.
Stupid.
I did like how MySpace would allow you to like put music to your page. When people go, I thought that was pretty cool. It was interesting, and
it was customizable. It was you.
Right.
It was your page. It was your space.
So going back quick to fuck China and fuck communists and all this stuff. Before we started this, we were joking around with some hats that we have in here. Right? Alan, you have the Jen Psaki, communist Soviet hat. And sorry, Cap, I know you don't want to wear this, but
it doesn't fit over my earphones, but this is great. I mean,
and I have this old Soviet Union hat from an old Soviet soldier. My grandpa actually got it when he was in Russia on vacation after the Soviet Union fell, and he bought it. So the point I wanted to make, which is interesting and simple, is you complaining that this hat doesn't fit you whatsoever. It don't fit me either.
No.
You know why?
This was a small, tiny.
Do you know why?
Soviet. It was a boy's hat.
It's a man's hat, but we are American, well-fed.
Yes.
Well, we have, we've had a lot of nutrition in our lives. We've grown, for small dudes.
This is the size of a communist head.
Right. For me, being a small dude, that don't even fit in my head. But when you live in a communist society like the Soviet Union, everybody is a little bit smaller because they lack the nutrition. They lack proper diets. I'm dead serious. So they're, basically at a societal scale, they have malnutrition. So their bodies are smaller. So their soldiers' hats are definitely smaller than I'd say our soldiers' hat. That's why no one could fit into that. A male Soviet soldier's hat.
I know somebody who was in the Navy for years, and he would always joke, like when he was overseas and stuff, like like when you'd fight Taliban or like resistance or stuff, he saw like a lot of warfare. He's like, hand to hand, we'd beat the fuck out of these guys. He was like, they were just all tall and skinny, and it was all these Navy guys who were benching 315 plus, just housing each other.
Yeah,
that is small heads and small balls. That's what all those communists have.
Yeah, exactly. So I just thought that was a little tidbit I thought of when we were talking about the hats before.
They still, we were talking. I brought up the shipping crisis to someone. Maybe I'll throw that little tidbit that I was telling you about earlier now. But somebody was talking about the shipping crisis. Their Mercedes-Benz had a problem. They couldn't get the chip. And I was like, well, that's due to the shipping crisis. And I was like, it's being done on purpose. And he was like, really? You think so? I was like, yeah, of course. You starve your victims. You starve your enemy. I was like, do you think Cuba and Venezuela is so, successful because the food is filled up, their grocery stores are filled up with food? Like it's almost, everything we have now, you have to depend on the government. You got to depend on the government for your medicine and what to do. Of course, there's a food shortage because they want you to depend on them for, for food and materials and stuff. But I have a little conspiracy here.
Oh boy, I like it. We're starting with the conspiracy instead of the news today.
Yes,
control the food, control the people.
Yeah,
that's just that's it. The communist way.
We're losing out on the First Amendment. Anything could get censored. We could say something in this episode gets taken down. You've been taken off TikTok. Second Amendment. We were just talking about gun control and how ridiculous it. So it could be coming. So are you familiar with, and I know it's one of Trump's executive orders, executive order 13959.
Boy, that's so specific.
Yeah, I know. So
no,
okay. So I tried looking this up, and they only show you like Biden's amendment to it.
What is it? Executive Order
13959. So basically, there's this conspiracy going around that that Trump put into an executive order that any country that's been caught with foreign election interference can no longer legally trade with the U.S. He goes on to say that the effects of the orders is a good thing, blah, blah. You're going to go from made to China, made to Indonesia, blah, 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 back to what we're saying, made in the USA. Mm-hmm. Do you think possibly this shipping crisis could be due to some executive order that would be stopping, nations from trading with us for, interference?
In this world right now, in this political climate and how fucked up our government is, it to me, it would be a normal conspiracy theory. It's not even a thing. I mean, it would, I don't know, it would probably be part of the norm. No, it's not outlandish. It's not, go sit in the corner with your tinfoil hat. No, it's possible. No. It's how all of a sudden do we have all of this
bottleneck
out there, this bottlenecking, and then we have the Secretary of Transportation butt plug. He's home chest feeding his twins and swinging on swings and talking about what his ugly babies are going to be for Halloween. I mean, and I'm not
the strangest thing about him,
babies are ugly.
The strangest thing about him is him and his husband, and I don't care that he has a husband, I don't care that he's openly gay, and I don't care that a gay couple adopted kids. My problem is they had pictures of the two of them laying in hospital beds in gowns with the hospital bracelet on, like one of them just gave birth.
Right. It's
you.
Yeah, they didn't.
What are we doing?
Right.
What
You're
are we
gay.
doing?
Congratulations. You adopted a child.
Yes.
I think that's a great thing.
No problem with any of this. This photo shoot is the dumbest thing I ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go on.
And it's funny you said something, and God, I'm gonna sound like a real homophobe, and I'm not. But I honestly don't. Maybe it's not even a conversation to get into. I have mixed feelings about gay couples adopting kids, but then it goes back to, and I understand the argument of, well, isn't it better to give those kids a good home with two loving parents and have them stuck in an orphanage? I get it, but I firmly believe that a baby needs a mother, and a baby needs a child needs a father. That's a whole. That could be
a whole other
episode.
Conversation.
Yeah, YouTube ain't gonna be happy with that conversation.
I will tell you though, in terms of Pete Buttigieg, who we're talking about here, he took a lot of heat because of this whole. He's the transportation secretary or whatever, and this whole supply chain crisis. He's kind of like the guy that's should there be a transportation secretary? No, I'm a libertarian anarchist almost, right? I don't think so. But if you're going to make that role, perhaps you should be at work when there is an emergency happening. And I think it was it might have been Steven Crowder. You familiar with Steven Crowder, Alan?
Watch him every day.
He said, men shouldn't take paternity leave. They're a bunch of pussies or something like that. Well, now hold the fuck on, bro. Okay, I understand what he's trying to say. Steven Crowder, I'm the anti-woke guy, right? But I think it's a good thing men can take paternity leave. I think it's a good thing for a father to bond with the baby and whatnot, right? But we're in a fucking crisis, and you're not. You're
not Joe Schmo.
You're not Joe 9 to 5, right? 9 to 5, working at McDonald's or something like that. We need you right now. As shitty as that sounds, we need Pete Buttigieg to be going over there and do his job and sort the fucking thing out. Instead, he's on paternity leave. Go back on paternity leave after the crisis is over. I think that's like a fair, neutral ground here for him to be on. I don't know.
With his position, he could take off as much time as he wants. Just don't do it when we're in the middle. Anyway. Yeah. But no, that. Go ahead.
No, I agree. I don't mind that. The father and the bonding and the paternity leave, but 2 months, 2 months.
Right, in the middle of a crisis.
What a perfect timing too.
Right. Even take the crisis out of it. 2 months. Your daddy needs to be home 2 months. No, daddy needs to be out there making a living, supporting his kid, and not being paid to stay home. Get back to work. All right. Your wife shit out a kid. You happy? Everybody's great. Hey, I have a baby. I have twins. Hey, I'm daddy. That's great. Go to work. The baby's gonna be fine. You need a week, fine. Go home, help your help your wife around. She's sore, fine. Get your ass back to work. Or I'm sorry, his husband didn't birth the child. It's not like either one of them were like invalid in bed. No, it's. Yeah. I hate them so much. I hate Buttigieg so much.
Yeah, he's a phony.
He's a hack. He's an establishment.
I remember him. He took an SUV, like they drove him to work in a huge SUV
and dropped him like a block early,
like a mile or a block away from wherever he works. And he gets out and pulls a bike out of the back and then rides, puts his mask on, his nice little helmet, and he rides the last block for photo ops so he could look like, I'm the transportation guy and I ride a bicycle to try and save on carbon, CO2 emissions or whatever. It's all for show. They're all full of shit. They don't really care about climate change. It's all bullshit, just optics.
And I'm still convinced there was no seat on that bike.
the best ride of his life then.
Yeah. Ass blast to 3,000.
You guys are disgusting.
Yeah, well, it happens.
It's comedy, which they're also trying to cancel comedy. Nobody knows what a joke is anymore, how to laugh.
Right.
God forbid.
Yeah. All right. Let's so I got two news stories here that I kind of want to talk about today. And I thought, Alan, you'd be interesting to discuss this stuff with. I was trying to bring this up on Rolling Stone on the computer, but boy, our buddies over at Rolling Stone, they're our favorite.
After the last scathing review we gave them.
Their website is awful. But there's an article.
Awful.
Yeah, they're awful. And so by extension, their website also awful. It was completely freezing my computer. So I'm just going to read it off my phone. So there's an article that came out a few days ago, October 24th, and it says, what's going on here, right?
Press record because there's no red light.
No, we don't need to record, bro. We're on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So a few days ago, exclusive. January 6th protest organizers say they participated in dozens of planning meetings with members of Congress and the White House staff. Two sources are communicating with House investigators and detailed a stunning series of allegations to Rolling Stone, including a promise of a blanket pardon from the Oval Office. So this story is based upon more anonymous sources, apparently, coming to Rolling Stone magazine and telling them members of Congress conspired to help plan the insurrection and the attack on the Capitol. And I could sit here and I could read you this to everybody listening, this entire article. And there's a lot of interesting information in there.
It's a long article. I read it, and to anybody,
the revolver one is even longer.
We'll get to that.
It's worth the worth the read. It's worth the read.
It's worth the read.
It's all bullshit too.
Right. That's my main point here is going to be read the article. It's trying to implicate people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, other Lauren Boebert, the people who are really, for the most part, I'm not their biggest fans, but they're against the establishment, trying to implicate them in the insurrection, right? And if you actually read the article is referencing the January 6th Stop the Steal rally. What was it near, down the road there in Washington.
Yeah.
This article is trying to conflate a political rally and the riot that occurred at the Capitol. Right. And everything in the article is saying, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example, helped plan the insurrection, but it's talking about the Stop the Steal rally. They're pretending as if those two things are not separate events that occurred in time. They're just treating it as that was part of the insurrection and they had something to do with it. No, politicians plan political rallies. Yeah. Right. And you could disagree with what the point of the rally was. Fine. But they didn't plan people running into the Capitol and whatnot and attacking the place. They planned a political rally. And that's my point. Go ahead, Alan. You probably
no. It's so you said something about when you first started talking about it, how anonymous sources, and we know that the left, especially the radical left, they love their anonymous sources, just like mainstream media. They love their anonymous sources. And how many times did they have to retract or correct something from an anonymous source that really wasn't anonymous? It was a bullshit source. It was like another journalist, or it was themselves. And anybody could be an anonymous source. And anything that happened that day is going to be lumped into the main event, the insurrection. And because there were events that happened the day before. Okay. There were events that had the Stop the Steal rally that day, completely separate from Donald Trump's rally to the morons who decided to walk through the Capitol and riot out front and whatever else happened. But the reason for that is, again, let's look at what the Democrats are. And I hate saying the Democrats, the extreme left, the radicals,
establishment,
the establishment, even Republican establishment. But I take the left because they do it in for elections. The only thing they have and what they're very good at are smear campaigns and tactics to destroy their opponents, because they know that's all they're good at. They can instill fear in their base to show that conservatives are evil. They're bad. They're white supremacists. They're domestic terrorists. They're very, very bad people, and because all their policies suck, all of their values suck. Nobody wants big government in their pocket. Nobody wants all kinds of regulation and restriction. People, including Democrats who say they hate capitalism, want to make money, want to be successful, want to buy iPads and Teslas. And when you're a self-proclaimed Democrat, a socialist Democrat like AOC, but have a merch store where you sell sweatshirts for $60 and make millions of dollars off of your merch store.
Right.
Well, that's a socialist Democrat that loves capitalism. So it's all bullshit. So they want to lump everything in and say that the Stop the Steal rally was like the planning of the events that happened on 1/6. And it's nonsense. And then you take people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who they destroyed and attacked. Maybe she's a bit of a loon. I like her.
She's easy to attack.
She's easy to attack. She is. And I mean, still the Republicans did nothing and just allowed her to be stripped of all of her committees.
Right.
She's a very hardcore, outspoken, abrasive Republican that has a pretty big platform. She's out there doing rallies. She's a huge fundraiser. And how the Republicans are not embracing her, the Republican National Committee is not embracing her more, just for the sole fact of she is a cash cow. Marjorie Taylor Greene could be a huge cash cow for the Republican National Committee, and they don't utilize her for that. But the Democrats just want to smear someone like her, or a Matt Gaetz, or a Lauren Boebert, any of those.
Yeah,
And
I'll just real quick. I'll just point out the article names specifically: Paul Gosar, Lauren Boebert, Mo Brooks, Madison Cawthorn, Andy Briggs, Louis Gohmert. I don't know everybody on that list, but I know like Madison Cawthorn.
How convenient.
Lauren Boebert are all, like outspoken America First Republicans. So like how convenient, right?
Yeah.
Yes. The article and the alleged, anonymous sources are naming people, the biggest enemies of the establishment.
These abrasive Republicans.
Right? Not Speed Bump Crenshaw, though.
I read through this, and boy, this was such a weak article. First off, the first time we got involved with the Rolling Stone was that they couldn't
gunshot victims.
Yeah, the gunshot victims couldn't get a bed in a hospital because so many people were overdosing on ivermectin horse deworming pills. And you called the hospitals, and shocking, no, that was not true. So we already know Rolling Stone does not fact check themselves at all.
No.
But yeah, how convenient they named these guys. They're talking about the Stop the Steal rally. They're saying they're investigating the people who funded it. That's where this investigation ends, because there's a money trail saying that I'm funding the Stop the Steal. Not what Trump was doing, not what happened at the, So these anonymous sources aren't taking these people anywhere. How deep is this money trail really going to go? I guarantee you, if you investigate someone like George, so-and-so, you probably find his money somewhere involved in January 6th and what took place, or all the BLM riots. It was just so weak. And then what else did I write to you? Hold on. And then the talk of these blanket pardons. So they were going to overturn an election, and these congressmen, women, and Trump were going to just pardon random people. I didn't understand, like, Like you're going to have this list of names of pardons, right? And then all of a sudden at the end is just going to be like 5, 6 random people that have never been to jail, never done anything. Like, what are they being? Well, we're just going to fly this one under the radar. Like, it was such a stupid,
yeah, I think the idea that the article is saying that the whoever in the administration promised blanket pardons to whoever helped them plan the insurrection. It's proven, right? There was no fucking insurrection planned. No. Right? They had an entire impeachment trial about this. An insurrection is an actual crime that can be charged to
no one was charged with it.
No one was charged with it, right? So I'm not saying that a bunch of crazy people didn't get carried away, and we'll get more into that later, and tried to had delusions of grandeur where they were going to overthrow the government. I'm sure there were some idiots out there in the riot, but it was not orchestrated by Trump or any Congress person or whatever. It's a rally that got carried away, and people went and rioted, and we'll get into more on what might have caused that as well.
The two last things I had about this article, these guys were in all these meetings planning the insurrection. Not once did anyone of these anonymous sources, or did they bring up, or the Rolling Stones, none of them ever brought up the plan of how we're going to get all these people to run into the house. You know what I'm saying? So the major thing that took place, this insurrection, as we broke down the walls and broke the windows and stormed the Capitol, they don't talk about how that was planned out at all. Wouldn't that be the most important part? That's what the insurrection, quote unquote, was. So we kind of need to know the plan of that, not, Marjorie Taylor Greene, getting money funded for the Stop the Steal rally. And then also the Rolling Stone article talks about how there was going to be evidence presented on the floor that was going to flip the election. If that's true, I could understand how this was a red flag right away.
Right.
That's true. Where's that?
Yeah, I know. Where's the evidence?
Where's that evidence? Why hasn't that come out yet? You don't mean to tell me Trump or someone else, some pissed off MAGA person that, if they had, they're claiming that the Republicans had, they were going to present something on the floor. It's all bullshit, bro. It's made up shit. If they really, I'm not saying there shouldn't be an audit or something like that, but if there was some smoking gun, I think they would have used it by now.
I'd hope so.
Even outside of that original plan. Alan, go ahead.
But look what they did to even non-political figures who were either scheduled to speak at the Stop the Steal or were there for there was the rally the day before on the 5th. Roger Stone, Alex Jones. There was a few I believe might have been Pastor, is it Burns or Pastor, the other Pastor Locke. I'm not sure about him, but Roger Stone walks out of his hotel and he's taking pictures with people, and there's a photograph with him. There's a member of the Oath Keepers next to him, and then he was sitting in a golf cart over by the hotel, and immediately he was a target. Roger Stone and Alex Jones were behind the planning of January 6th. And then they realized, well, no, they weren't. He never left. Roger Stone never left his hotel. Roger Stone told me what saved Alex Jones from going over to the Capitol was he had to stop and take a shit in the lobby, in the hotel lobby. Roger Stone said that to me.
That's fantastic.
And then Alex Jones was out there with a bullhorn after the fact saying, be peaceful, make sure everything's peaceful. Nobody was inciting violence. I tell you what, no one could convince me that the alphabet agencies weren't involved in orchestrating some of the things that went on. It was very odd. So Roger Stone had a friend of his helping him with security. He was a former New York City police officer, I believe that traveled with him to DC along with his publicist and a few other people. They were in the hotel room and the phone rang. And apparently it was the Secret Service that said, hey, we're going to come and pick up Roger Stone and bring him to the Capitol. And Roger Stone said, well, that's not going to happen. That doesn't sound right. And told his security detail to go down and meet with them and see what that's all about. And he went down, his security guy went down and saw the Secret Service agents. The Secret Service identified themselves. They were legit. They were the Secret Service, and they had a vehicle to bring Roger Stone to the Capitol. And when his security detail said, Roger's going to decline, he's not going to go and take the ride and go to the Capitol. Those Secret Service agents apparently were not happy about that. They were not happy that they weren't taking Roger Stone to the Capitol. And Roger Stone will say, why is the Secret Service calling me at the hotel looking for me to bring me to the Capitol? Yes, he's friends with the current sitting president of the United States, but that was very odd.
That's bizarre. Like, I never heard that story before. That's
who
bizarre.
Ordered that? Roger told me on one of my shows. He explained that, and that was, I believe he explained it on a couple other podcasts out there.
That's false flag written all over it, man.
Imagine that. But then all of a sudden, he was with the Oath Keepers, and he was a mastermind. Him and Alex Jones were masterminds behind 1-6. And then they were both vindicated when they realized that they announced there was no evidence that they were complicit or involved in the orchestrating of the events of 1-6. But again, but Roger Stone he was on a radio show when there was a knock at his door and he was served with a lawsuit. And so was Donald Trump, the same lawsuit where the two of them are being sued by, by the 7 Capitol police officers for
the waterworks guys, the ones who went up there and cried.
Yep. So
Nice.
he was served with the lawsuit that he's being sued by them, and I believe some other group involved for his involvement in that day. He didn't have any involvement. He was at his hotel. He never left his hotel. And well, he eventually left his hotel to get the hell out of DC. They were getting out of there. They were there for the event the day before. And there are pictures of him watching what's going on in his hotel room with like 5 or 6 people. So again, it's that political witch hunt.
Yeah.
Well, Roger Stone was there that day. We can go after him. Alex Jones was there that day. We can go after him. But and then, so this article, there were people that maybe who these anonymous sources who were supposedly organizers of this whether it's the insurrection, or are these the people that are organizers of the Stop the Steal rally? And again, that's what it sounds like.
Right.
It's being, no, they were involved in the events on January 6th. They were involved in the Stop the Steal rally, not the bullshit that went on at the Capitol.
Right. And that I saw posted when this article came out on, multiple left-wing websites, again, like you're saying, conflating the idea of a political rally, which was organized for political purposes with the riot that occurred. And yeah, people are going to gobble that shit up, right? Leftist.
It's only too perfect. Yeah.
Right. It's confirmation bias, of their own biases. I'm not a Trump guy, but I'm sitting here looking at this like, what the fuck? You're trying to make two things that are not related directly into the same thing. And then you're like, the accusations of sitting members of Congress planning that is just, it's insane. It's
and I love how
insane.
they put the Rolling Stone puts they'll rattle off a name of a congressman or woman, and they'll be like, but they declined to comment. No kidding, they're going to decline to comment. You can't be trusted to begin with. You're already saying they're included in planning the January 6th. So now they're going to make a comment that you could twist around to make it look like they're even more involved.
And mind you, anonymous sources are what's based this entire. So, it has zero foundation to begin
It's
with.
amazing how far anonymous sources could get now. I wish this anonymous source thing was going on when I had to make all those term papers and cite back in college where you had to cite it all, the research papers.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Just write your sources down. Anonymous source 1, 2, and 3. Hey, it's good enough for the FBI. Get out of here. I got an A.
These are journalistic standards now, so I could get away. All the journalism, students out there, go ahead.
Yeah.
Have a field day to learn Rolling Stone, and everybody else could do it.
Yeah, Rolling Stone will probably hire you.
Right. You don't need nobody has to name their sources. Well, that's the thing. I don't know the whole journalism creed, but obviously they can protect their sources, but everything's an anonymous source. Everything, unless it's something like a fake Facebook whistleblower that they want to give their time in Congress.
And it's not anonymous. It's not anonymous then, right?
Not anonymous.
And then the next night she's verified on Twitter.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Meanwhile, I had a Facebook whistleblower who worked for Project Veritas on my podcast, Ryan Hartwig, and he wrote a book about. He was literally a moderator talking about how they wanted him to go after conservative memes and conservative comments and accounts, and
Right.
he's not a blue check, and he wasn't given any time with Congress.
60 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, come on. It's just the double standard and the hypocrisy. And I hate that word hypocrisy because it's used by every right-leaning talking head because it's
what
true.
else do we have to use? You know, I mean,
You're right. So, just everyone should just start saying bullshit. Let's just get rid of the word hypocrisy. Everything is bullshit. And that's, it's scary. It's just scary how
we live in a two-tiered system. Yeah.
And there are people out there that just still eat this garbage up. Don't question. This is what they're saying. Joe Biden still. Someone literally commented on my podcast Facebook page. I posted something about gas prices, and this idiot was like, "Your president is trying to preserve the oil reserves for future generations, and he's trying to bring the country back together." And I'm starting to type out, "Are you a fucking moron?" And then realizing maybe I shouldn't type that because I'll get flagged. But come on.
And I still know people who think there was not only do they think the 1-6 was an insurrection, they think dozens of people died. They think there was an actual
hundreds
massacre. Yeah.
It was worse than 9/11. It was worse than Pearl Harbor. This was the worst thing to happen since the Civil War.
Right. Our sacred democracy was attacked.
Dude,
1-6.
On 9/11, I've never been so angry to see people just be like, this day used to mean something, but after 1/6, it's not as bad anymore. It once, like you said too, in one of our podcasts right around that time, it was probably the September 11th episode. Where this January 6th, man, we're probably going to get a day off from work. It's going to be, a national moment of silence.
It's going to be interesting to see the pomp and circumstance they do as we get closer to January.
I guarantee you there's going to be a dip in the news cycle just so it could all so there's nothing to talk about. COVID won't be too crazy.
They'll lay a wreath somewhere, and, to honor the fallen. Meanwhile, no one died.
Well, then I can tell you,
besides Ashley Babbitt, Trump, the only person who died was one of the people running into the building. Right, no one else died, but they'll lay a wreath in memory of all those who lost their lives.
Imagine if they start naming names of people who died, and it's only been a year. We know nobody died.
I will tell you that if they make 1/6 a holiday where people are off from work or a day of mourning, I you know how people do extravagant Halloween and Christmas decorations in their house. I'm literally going to make a giant paper mache every year on 1/6, if that's the case, of the U.S. Capitol on my front lawn. And if they even go as far as they do at 9/11, the time the police barriers were broken, I'm just gonna blow the paper mache Capitol up.
Paper mache Capitol. Paper mache
the paper mache Capitol, the fake Capitol on my front lawn. For you fucking morons that are now tagging the FBI in the post, hey, investigate these guys, and that's how I'm gonna commemorate. 1/6.
I think we should have a big 4th of July barbecue, take the guns out, go shooting, just be as American as possible.
Yeah, January 6th. That'll be fun with shorts and
tank tops, American flag tank tops.
Yeah, man. It's obviously a political witch hunt, like you said. And they got, something I've learned or been thinking about lately is the more they do these hypocritical double standard things, it's gonna piss people off. Right. And it's going to cause, without a doubt, just looking at it logically, some people to be so angry that they're going to want to cause violence. Right. Because they're just going to be so angry at the double standards and hypocrisy. So there's one thing I could caution people: don't play into that hand. Right. They know what they're doing. They're trying to piss people off. They want people to, some Trump person to, do a terrorist attack or whatever.
That's all they need is to have. Not a planned attack, not an FBI, CIA backed false flag. They just need one Trump voter who has a picture at one rally. His Facebook page literally could just be the one picture of something,
right?
And for him to go or her to go off, and they have everything they need to justify it.
Yeah, They're trying to instigate that.
No.
Let's put it that way, and that's what they've been doing. So let me get to the second article here. And this was a hell of an article, I have to say. I'm going to share this one by Revolver News. Actually, hang on. Where am I doing? Sorry. Let me bring it over here. So Revolver News, who we covered this another article of theirs. What do you say that would be? Well, that was Cap.
I'm sorry. What are you talking about?
We covered Revolver News originally broke the story about all the
there were
unnamed, unindicted
so
co-conspirators.
Yeah, they had the conspirators, and then it became like person one and person two, and then all these people started getting charged, but like person one is still anonymous and there's no charges against them.
Yeah.
So we're pretty sure they're FBI agents or agent provocateurs.
Right. So
there were a lot of them there,
Yeah.
So let me read a little bit of this and then we'll discuss it. So again, I recommend everybody go to this article on Revolver News. It's called Meet Ray Epps, the Fed protected provocateur who appears to have led the very first 1/6 attack on the U.S. Capitol. This is a very long article.
So
warning. Try and keep it brief.
If you decide to read this and watch the videos, you should maybe, I don't know, take like all your vacation days at once.
Yeah. But this is real journalism here. And I'm trying to contrast this to complete phony bullshit that we just spoke about on Rolling Stone. But after months of research, Revolver's investigative reporting team can now reveal that Ray Epps appears to be among the primary orchestrators of the very first breach of the Capitol's police barricades at 12:50 p.m. January 6th. Epps appeared to have lead the breach team that committed the very first illegal acts on that fateful day. What's more, Epps and his breach team did all their dirty work with 10 minutes still remaining in President Trump's National Mall speech, and with the vast majority of Trump supporters still 30 minutes away from the Capitol, where the Stop the Steal rally was. It's going to take you about half an hour to walk to the Capitol building from there. Secondly, Revolver also determined, and will prove below, that the FBI stealthily removed Ray Epps from its Capitol violence most wanted list on July 1st, just one day after Revolver exposed the inexplicable and puzzlesome FBI protection of known Ray Epps associate, Oathkeeper leader Stuart Rhodes. I think that's when we read that article back then. So right after Revolver puts out that article about the unnamed, unindicted individuals, the FBI started messing with who's on the list.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the article that you were just talking about.
Right. July 1st was one day after a separate New York Times report amplified a glaring falsifiable lie about Epps' role in the events of January 6th. Lastly, Ray Epps appears to have worked alongside several individuals, many of them suspiciously unindicted, to carry out a breach of the police barricades that induced subsequent flood. So Ray Epps was involved in the actual riot portion of January 6th.
Yep.
There's a lot of videos of him. This is him. There's a lot of videos and evidence of him being there. There's a video here of him like trying to egg on the crowd of people, like, let's go into Capitol.
The one thing I kept picking up is like anytime he had like a voice to a group, it was like, no, we need to focus on going into the Capitol. And no one around him, none of these groups like even thought of it. Like they were like just there to show support.
There is plenty of video evidence of Ray Epps. It says here, as you process the video above and the information to follow, it's important to keep in mind, Ray Epps is a free man. He has never been arrested or charged. Nearly 10 months after January 6th, the FBI and Justice Department still refuse to comment on whether Epps has ever been served a search warrant. Rep. Thomas Massey grilled Merrick Garland about this, to which he completely ignored the question. But we do know that at least rank and file FBI investigators were intensely interested in Ray Epps in the immediate aftermath of January 6th. By January 8th, the Capitol Violence Most Wanted list featured a big, fat, friendly face shot of Ray Epps. The FBI Washington field office in a tweet said the same day they called for the public's help in identifying, they didn't know at the time it was Epps, but help us identify this man, right? The FBI is trying to identify this guy. So they put that out there, and these are all this is it. This is the screenshots of what the FBI put out.
The day of they put it out, because then if you go back now, it's not the same.
Help us identify this man here.
Photograph 16, right? You know what? So with all of this, they were arresting grandmothers walking through the Capitol. I think one of them even had like a cigarette in her mouth. They're running around hunting down people like Nazis were hunting down Jews in Poland and all over the country. Okay. And this guy who's on this, like you said in the article, there's so much video footage of him. He's removed from the 1/6 most wanted list. Why isn't this guy sitting in a jail cell in solitary confinement 23 hours a day in a federal jail in DC awaiting his trial or sentencing? Instead, he's on his big, beautiful ranch. He was approached by he was sitting in a golf cart. I forget who approached him. Some independent journalist found him, approached him, started asking him questions, and he just blasted off into his property in his like 6-seater golf cart.
Yeah.
You know, who is this guy? I mean, I don't believe he's an actual federal agent. I don't think he is, but he has. I mean, who knows? Who knows? But,
He's an ex-Marine,
right.
And he's involved with the Oath Keepers, and so that's the real shady thing that I found through reading this article was who's the other guy? I keep forgetting his name.
The Oath Keeper guy. I don't remember his name either.
We just said it at the top before. Something Samuel, I think.
Oh,
whatever. The Oath Keeper guy. Yeah.
So after the FBI removed the pictures of Ray Epps from this, most wanted list, then it came out that he was a chapter leader of the Oath Keepers in Arizona. Then all of a sudden, the Oath Keepers changed their website too. They even took down the information about this guy Epps. How can just one person who, let's say he's innocent, he hasn't been charged with anything, how can you remain innocent, be in all of these videos with audio saying we need to go inside? How can you have
Capitol? Yes.
Yeah. And how can you have connections to somebody else who they just unmasked? How can you have evidence of working together? And then two separate entities, two separate websites remove all the past information about you. I don't know if anybody's ever removed me from like past information on Facebook or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do these two organizations that obviously shouldn't be working together, but probably are, just, coordinate this?
It's amazing what you can do when the federal government is in on it, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, anything is possible. There's so much that we're not being told. There's so much that is maybe it's obvious too that we know, but they're going to deny in reference to that whole event, how it was orchestrated. We can't even explain the videos of people that were standing over by trees, changing into either black military style fatigues, or they were changing into MAGA hats or MAGA shirts and pulling flags out of duffel bags and stuff. Like, it just, let's take a look at the Virginia governor election and those.
I saw that. That was ridiculous, man.
The idiots with the tiki torches. And then it came out because one of them couldn't keep their mouth shut, and came out that that was a Democratic planned and run operation, that they were there trying to make it seem like they were conservatives. Like, what were they supposed to be? Klans people holding camping tiki torches? They weren't even in robes. If they were going to do it, they should have done it. Why didn't they dress up as Klan members? I didn't even pay much attention to the article, just the fact that, or the story, just the fact that it happened. And then immediately it was like, nah, they already found out from one of their own. It was that was from the Democrat.
One of the guys was black too. That's the funniest part about that. If people are not aware what we're even talking about, I think it was over the weekend. A bunch of people dressed up with the tiki torches, similarly to the guys with the tiki torches back in Charlottesville a long time ago, 2016 or whatever, showed up and took a picture in front of Glenn Youngkin's campaign bus, the Republican guy running for governor. And it turns out they were all, Democrat operatives from the Terry McAuliffe. One of them was black. It doesn't even make any fucking sense. At least make, if you're gonna like make up
tag them white
shit,
nationalists,
put some actual white nationalist guys looking into that. It doesn't even make any sense. Like, they're not even good at fake propaganda.
I say it all the time. With all the money and power the establishment has, you would think they'd be able to pull off like a decent red flag event.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, you go back to saying that there was a black guy there, but I mean, let's face it. If you haven't realized, gentlemen, that we have black
white supremacists,
white black
Yeah.
supremacists like
Yeah.
Larry Elder and
right? That's
and
true.
the
I didn't think
the
of that.
the
Yeah,
Hodge
Tim Scott.
twins,
Yeah.
Candace Owens, Tim Scott. I mean, how many we got? There's a lot of
For
black
being white nationalists, we have a very big open policy, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Forget who it was,
white.
man.
So we're white nationalists, but we have an Orthodox Jew, outspoken conservative Ben Shapiro, and then
Yes.
we have the black faces, Candace Owens, and all of them, and then we have and don't forget, because we're so full of hate, all of the openly homosexual conservatives that we have
Right.
out there.
Yep.
I mean,
I think it
Come
was our buddy Zach, the Unfit Statesman. I was listening to a podcast of his, and he was referencing this of how, like, well, there's all these black white supremacists now, and all these like gay MAGA people. It's like, well, maybe the move is just to embrace white nationalism, because over time, white nationalism is
accepting everybody.
So we'll all be white nationalists together. We'll all live in peace and harmony, and everybody will be
I guess
equal.
so.
So
take,
yeah, obviously,
take the word white out of it, because I truly believe in nationalism in our country, okay, as opposed to the disgusting woke left that are all just sick globalists and want to enrich China and other countries. So, fuck the globalists, and I'm all about American nationalism, and that has nothing to do with race. And don't give me the sob story about the Native Americans we stole the land from. Hey, guess what? It's 2021, and thank God that they stole that land from the Native Americans, so we have what we have today. Not my fucking problem. Just like slavery is not my fucking problem. Not my problem. This is I love my country. I love America, and I love every black, Jew, Hispanic, and gay member of it. As long as you're a decent human being, I got no issue with you.
Yeah.
If you're a piece of shit, well, you know where to go.
right. I think people don't understand that about nationalism. Like,
No.
I don't want to get into a big thing about nationalism, but like nationalism includes every single American person within the boundaries of America.
Yeah.
Right.
It goes back to, and we will always be referencing this. I mean, if they ever fix the education system along with, draining the swamp, we'd be out of a show. But it's just the
well, no, we'll do podcasts and Halloween.
It's just the uneducated people of this country. The media, the corporate propaganda media, has created the word nationalist in the group of bad words.
Right.
So if you're a patriot, you're an American nationalist, which even I get saying it kind of sounds like a little racist, but
that's because they programmed you to think that way immediately.
But you are somebody who stands up to fight for the ground you walk on, the place you live in. I'm American, but I'm Italian descent. I have more, as much as I love my Italian heritage, as much as I love all the different things about Italy. No, I'm American. I'm American.
Right.
Born here, raised here, lived here. I'm not a bad person for loving the ground I walk on. And if we are such a terrible country, why are we promoting immigration so much? Like, why, if nationalism and patriotism is so bad, why should people immigrate here then?
Right. It's the most racist, evil country in the world, right?
Do you really want to move to a country that is going to be filled with people who are proud to be part of their country?
Well, I mean, hey, I don't know, but would you punch Skaggs in the face for $450,000? Would you pump?
Yeah.
Would you punch the captain for $450,000?
Yes, 100%. And if he didn't, I would take his fist and do it for him. Yeah,
I do it for the 50 grand for the 400.
I do it for $5.
Yeah.
All of the shit that we offer these people to come here illegally. I mean, it's amazing. It's just. I
know.
Yeah, that's a larger conversation, man. I feel like I'm not against people coming here. Like,
no, I'm not either. But
I feel
get
like
your story straight.
I also feel like why does our tax dollars need to pay for that? Like, if you as a leftist or a liberal person or whatever, if you really want to help, if you really truly believe in helping some random person from South America or wherever come to America, why don't you just put up your own money for it? Then why is it the pot at the center? Why does the pot have to pay for it? Not everyone's money should be funding things that they don't agree with. You know what I mean? Like if you want to help people, go out and do it on your own. You don't need to take my money from me that's fund. I'm not saying whether I agree with it or not. I'm just saying as a general.
That's
idea.
the problem with leftism and progressives is that they are so incompetent that they need the government to send them a text message to tell them it's okay to wipe your ass. So they physically couldn't even begin to understand how to take care. Yet, not even themselves.
Their president is the exact same. His butt's been wiped.
Yes,
right?
My butt's been wiped.
Hey,
that cracked me up, man. That cracked me up when you said that earlier.
What were you saying, Al?
Who do you think had to change his diaper when he was in Rome? Who do you think did it?
Oh, one of the 800 handlers that he brought over there. I mean, I heard other rumors that like, I forget where it came from. It was from some like podcast or whatever, but they were saying that there's rumors that like the Secret Service can't stand working for Biden. Like some of them want to like flip on him.
They didn't join the Secret Service to change diapers.
Yeah, and so like, and they were like saying that like when he's in like the White House or wherever they're, whatever holding cell they're keeping him in for when the puppet masters need him, he's just like he's either like up on uppers, sleeping all day long, running around, shit in his pants. Like this is like apparently in like the Secret Service land and rumors. This is nowhere near the first time he's been poopy pants.
More anonymous sources.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah.
He shit the Lincoln bedroom bed. He shit in the Lincoln bedroom.
Dropping Lincoln logs in the Lincoln bedroom.
It's not out of the realm of possibility, but at the same time, all these rumors of him shitting it's fucking hysterical.
Yeah,
I love it.
I don't
but at
care
the
if
same
they're
time,
real.
I don't know if it's real.
I don't care if they're real.
Stuff. I'll treat it the same way as I treat the anonymous people.
Yeah.
Saying that to Congress. But it's funny.
I wonder if they have a diaper genie in the Oval Office next to
maybe
they have to. They probably have one. They have like that table that pulls out of the wall.
Yeah,
so they could change them.
I could just see Jill Biden right now on the desk in the Oval Office, changing his fucking wiping his old balls and fucking cleaning them up.
His old balls with talcum powder.
And Joe just laughing, not knowing what day it is or if it's his sister or not.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
you guys are disrespecting the president. Yeah. How dare you?
Oh man,
how dare you? And then you go look back at my tweets from 5 years ago. Fuck Donald Trump.
The defiant L's. The defiant L's will never. I will never be able to consume enough of that.
Yeah, it's a great page. All right, we went on a hell of a tangent there, but I want to get real quick and we'll wrap up here on Ray Epps. Getting back to this, so the larger point I wanted to draw on here was the FBI had direct evidence. I know we could say, you're innocent until proven guilty. I fucking seen the video of the guy there trying to, lead a charge into the Capitol, right? And the FBI put out a plea: please help us identify this people. So leftists on the internet, they were out on a crusade to punish every MAGA person that exists. They went and identified Ray Epps, gave it to the FBI. The FBI sat on it for 6 months, and then it mysteriously disappeared in July off of the FBI website, like Ray Epps' information and whatnot. And he remains free to this day. So here you have a guy who literally took part in the insurrection, if that's what you want to call it, right? Was proven by leftists. He was caught and, identified by leftists, was on the FBI's website, posted there, magically disappears. No charges.
Yep.
Credit to Revolver News for going in depth into all this. That is real journalism that they documented. Even the FBI removing him off the website. That's real journalism. Compare that to Rolling Stone. Anonymous sources say that Congress conspired to help plan the insurrection.
Right.
Completely false. Probably made up, the anonymous sources, and then they're conflating two things that have nothing to do with each other. Where is the Rolling Stones article about Ray Epps and how he orchestrated, like an actual guy who actually, tried to insurrect something? I'm not saying he's a member of the FBI or the government or whatever, but you had a guy who actually did it on camera, verifiable fucking proof, and you don't have any article. But another, political opponents of the establishment of the left, there's an article about them.
I mean, there's people rotting in solitary confinement just political prisoners. They were there. I mean, we didn't even scratch the surface of this gigantic article of, you know, of how he was involved with the people, the breach team 6, the first few people who broke into the Capitol building, and all those other 6 people are still unnamed and unindicted and all that. Everybody who was involved around this guy is walking around scot-free. And yet there was even in the article, he was at the Stop the Steal on January 5th. And he was talking to crowds of people about how tomorrow we need to go into the Capitol. And people were like, wait a minute, you're starting to sound like really weird. Like, are you a Fed or something?
Alan, didn't you say the day before Roger was part of like the whole rally and whatnot the day before?
The Stop the Steal rally.
So Roger's over there having a political rally, you know, talking about whatever. This guy also was the day before, again trying to instigate people to attack the Capitol, but they're going after Roger, who wasn't doing anything like that. I mean, come on, there's
video evidence of him on the 5th trying to even talk to BLM supporters that you need to break into the Capitol tomorrow.
Right. I'm not a Trump guy. I'm not trying to defend Trump or MAGA people or whatever.
This has nothing to even
trying
do
to
with
point
Trump.
out the fucking facts of the government is out there to get people and to punish anybody who's against the agenda or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Especially people like Roger Stone, who's been a target since, you know, the Mueller report and all of that bullshit.
Not a fake fucking thing,
you know,
right?
The Russia hoax, but now look at the biggest proponent, one of the biggest pushers of the Russia hoax, Adam Shitbag Schiff. And what is that asshole doing now? He's out there selling a book. He wrote a book. He's I don't know, is he the chairman or he's just a member of the January 6th Commission, heavily investigating. Hey, he has a lot invested in that January 6th Commission. He has a lot invested in the fall and the continued attack on Donald Trump and conservatives. He's a sitting congressman, and he's out there selling books, doing interviews on mainstream media, destroying conservatives, all in the name of selling books. But because he's on the January 6th Commission, he's getting
no Republicans are on.
Right. He's getting no camera time. He's getting all the camera time on the mainstream media, which he would not be getting all of his camera time right now if he wasn't selling this book.
No,
because he'll talk and then you'll hear him say, you know, and that's why in the book, whatever it's called, something about midnight. I took a shit at midnight. I'm a
Stanford hotel where he killed children. Yeah.
Right. I'm over at Hillary's house
at midnight.
I'm over at Hillary's house making adrenochrome coladas, like, you know, all that shit. Roger Stone he made a video about it. He had a joke. He said, someone said, "Hey Roger, why don't you run for Congress?" And he's like, "You know, I'm not candidate material. I'm good at what I do, and I wouldn't make a good candidate. But it would be funny that if I did run for Congress and I won, and after a session I go to my, you know, everyone goes out and drinks at the local high class bars in DC." And he said he would go up to Adam Schiff and say, "Hey Adam, why don't we go out for a drink and I'll enjoy my martini while you sit in the corner and sip on your adrenochrome." I was like, oh my God, it was a great video.
That's beautiful.
He's such a piece of garbage. And it doesn't matter that it was proven a hoax to this day.
Right.
He still pushes that.
It's his brand.
Real.
That's why, but listen, this is why he got that book deal. He did his job. He did his dirty work. And now this is how, you know, you'll roll your eyes with the Q comment, but Q always said book deals are very lucrative. It's a way these people get paid, you know, openly. Yeah. You can't make all this money under the radar. I'm sure there's ways, but they put your name on a book. They write some blah, blah, blah. The media is already told to pick it up and run with it. It's perfect timing for the book to come out so we could talk about, you know, January 6th and all that stuff. And he gets paid for all the dirty work he did right in front of our faces.
Yeah, there's certain guys in Congress or gals, you could just tell they're just total. Yeah. Chris Murphy, my favorite guy from Connecticut, he is one of those guys too. They're robotic. They just not one critical different thought about everything. They literally just recite whatever he just did whatever Cuomo and the administration says. It's like, at the very least,
lie to us.
At least like AOC sometimes says something different from what Joe Biden and the establishment says. At least, right? I'm giving her the most minimal credit possible. Yes. At least she's not a animatronic, one of those things at Disneyland in the what is that big ball in Disneyland, right? At least she says something different every once in a while. We could argue those points. Yeah. We could debate those. That's fine. But at least there's something different. Some of these guys are literally just fucking robots. Yeah, who have nothing. They got nothing. They're just shells.
You could sniff a fraud out real easy. And it's scary. Some people are like, Schiff's the greatest guy ever.
Yeah. If you read, I forget what he put a post out on his, I think on his page, maybe the Congress page about the book. And I was reading some of these comments and I posted something, of course, sarcastic and ridiculous. And and was it, there must have been a 30 post thread just on attacking me about how, Schiff is bringing the truth to the surface. He speaks truth to power and exposing Trump and his cohorts and anyone who supports Trump. So, supports racism and all this other shit. And I'm just like, I can't.
They have buzzwords. They got no depth, no context, no nuance.
You got to check those people to see how many friends and pictures they got, because they probably have like 4 pictures and 1 friend, and they're just a bot.
Yeah, man, that's something I've come to learn. Maybe not. This was on Facebook or that you made this comment.
Facebook. There's a lot of bots on Facebook. A lot of fake profiles. On
I've
Facebook.
noticed, man, bots on Twitter. I know exactly how to sniff out a bot, like on Twitter. And a lot of this, when something like that happens, what you did when you post something, like that's like combative against a certain thing, those bots come in there, and they know, like, it's pre-programmed.
It's a rally call. Yeah.
Oh, and if you notice on Instagram too, I've been noticing it a lot on Kim Klasik's Instagram page. She'll post something, and then you'll see it. Like an hour later, there'll be like 130 comments on the post. And you want to talk about bots everywhere from, hey, I'm a single slut, come and look me up, to I just invested in, cat testicles that I made $5,000. And then just all stuff not related to anything. And it's like it's programmed to certain people about it,
they just flood it. So anything of knowledge gets just sucked away, and you find all your single sluts and you invest in Bitcoin. Yeah,
right.
It's done on purpose. It's a whole tactic just to smear stuff. I'm sure between both of our podcasts, there's a level of our shadow banning. I mean, we posted something on TikTok. It was that video I think Joe Rogan might have posted where every commercial for all these morning shows was brought to you by Pfizer.
Oh yes.
Anything on our TikTok page easily gets, on the low end, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 views. On the high end, 12, 13, 14,000 views.
Yeah.
Not much of an in between. This has 130 views.
Like, this video shocked me when I saw it. That's why I posted it, and it got no views. It's suspicious, man. Yeah, I did want to play. Go ahead, Alan.
No, go ahead. Go for it.
I was gonna say I wanted to play a video, a crazy video that I saw. I think I didn't post this on the social media because I wanted to save it for the episode.
Alan, you understand and know what Project Mockingbird essentially is?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Hang on.
Roll the tape.
Roll the tape.
Hang on. So I was scrolling on Twitter and I came across this video, and it shocked me. I'm not gonna lie. This is a compilation of local news. You can see that, Alan?
Yes.
This is a compilation of local news networks and things they're going to say. I'll let it speak for itself.
Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about trouble and trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
Plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 That's the name of the episode.
I am sorry to whoever I just gave nightmares to for your night.
We just found the name of the episode, I think.
What's that?
This is dangerous.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
I like it. There we go. That's a good one. Man, Al, what do you think about that, man? That freaked me the fuck out last night, right before I went to bed.
That going on is what is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Thank you.
100%. Social mainstream media is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Yes.
Because and so are the fucking idiots that believe everything these news actors say. That's why they're not journalists. They're news actors or news activists, whatever you want to call them. They win awards for their performances. And they pat each other on the back for lying to us, the public, and they encourage it. Brian Stelter, gender neutral potato, Don Lemon, they all Anderson Cooper, they spout the same shit. You just mentioned Operation Mockingbird, which is it's a big conspiracy theory that it's this big program on a large scale that the CIA is controlling what goes on in the media, or Hollywood, which has been proven that the federal government was involved in influencing Hollywood and probably still is to this day.
Yeah. Why wouldn't it be?
Look what we just watched.
Yeah. It's right fucking there. Right
it's funny.
Real quick, just to piggyback on what you said about the CIA and whatnot, telling the media what to say. They do it right out in the open. We had an episode a long time ago where I documented like 15 fucking former CIA operatives, heads, agents, John Brennan, etc. Guys like that work for CNN, that work.
Yeah, they all get jobs at CNN.
They get there and then they go and spew the administration's talking points. They're not even hiding shit like that. So it's not a conspiracy theory. It's right there for you to see. It's just a matter of you seeing it or not.
I had this argument with some guy. It was a debate, but I'll call it an argument, whatever. And he was like, it's so crazy. It's such a conspiracy theory to think everyone's in on it. How are you going to get all the teachers unions in on, he was just talking about different topics. Okay. How did every single one of those newscasters get the exact same word for word script?
And if you think that was fake or that was edited by somebody, I posted that on TikTok and TikTok muted it, saying that this audio was copyrighted by the original creators, meaning it's not fake. It's made, I think that's bullshit. They're just trying to mute the video in general, because they don't want people to see it. But their rationale was this is, from all these news stations, it's copyrighted material. The audio can't be played. That would lead you to believe that it's correct. It's actually from those, news stations. So it's not like random person made that up.
That video needs to be played far and wide. As a matter of fact, you have to email me that video.
I will.
Yeah, we'll send it to you. This is the problem with not the problem with gaining information on the internet or the media or something. It's just that Google and the media, and the way the internet is set up has given us this idea where originally it was don't believe anything you read on the internet. Do your research, whatever. But now when you type in, google.com, Google A, B, and C, and you're looking up for information on A, B, and C, and then you have CNN, MSNBC, this news station, that news station, this, website, all saying exactly the same word for word thing. This is extremely dangerous for a democracy. You checked 5 sources. You checked 5 reputable sources. This must be true now, but it's all word for word the same thing, just with a different spin on it. This is the land. It's not even a slippery slope. This is the cliff we've dived off of at this point by now, where, they are the ones projecting this dangerous misinformation behavior, man.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
They're the ones doing it and projecting it as if everyone else is the one doing it. Yeah.
If I'm not saying it, it's a lie.
Right.
You're like, you just said it alongside of 150 other people, pal.
Smart. It's a smart tactic. I hand it to him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, CIA's got to get something right. They can't do false flags on the beginning of January, but they got this under their belt.
And how many news channels did we just watch? How many different news? That all was not from one network. People have to understand that too. That was from multiple networks,
multiple channels,
all over the country.
And
this is our
local.
United States. Yeah. This is our American media.
And that's another issue too with it. Now, granted, you need local media, you need local news. I think, that's for society on a local level. You do need,
you need to know what's going on in your neighborhood, right?
But there's think of how hard it would be for me to get local news see what local news is saying in like Arizona or like Utah or Wyoming or something. I can maybe get Connecticut's and New Jersey's and stuff.
Right.
But like there's so many I used to work in advertising and I would buy commercial airtime, and a lot of it would, when you worked in local media like I did, you got little local subsections. So one of my sections was just Lubbock, Texas. I only bought commercials that aired just in Lubbock, Texas. Go find me what they said on, local Lubbock, Texas news last night. It's impossible. It's not impossible, but it ain't as easy
random idiot from Connecticut is not going to be able to see that.
Thank you. You sitting in Connecticut and you sitting in Long Island. You said Long Island, right?
Yeah.
And you sitting in Long Island are both not going to go and think like, I wonder what they said in, the Fairfield, Connecticut news, local news tonight. And it ended up being the same exact thing. No one thinks they're doing that.
Right.
No.
Good point.
No, absolutely. You local news, you need your local news. It's this national news media that just I've seen something similar to that, not on that big a scale, but there's always something that's always repeated by all of these talking heads, always. But when you hear it word for word, like it goes back to if you're told something enough times, you're going to believe it. So think of the millions and millions of people and the viewer base that each one of these networks has, except for CNN because their viewership sucks.
Reruns of Peppa Pig is doing better than primetime shows on CNN.
What makes me happy is podcasts like Steve Crowder's podcast, and of course Joe Rogan, and even the probably some of the Daily Wire people have a larger viewership than some of these shows on CNN. It's just amazing. All they have is talking about the big bad orange boogeyman or who's wearing a MAGA hat today and who's talking about 1-6 and it's just or is Brian Stelter sitting there talking bad about Fox or Newsmax? Who is he calling a liar today? And again, and Newsmax, I watch them. I like Greg Kelly and I like Grant Stinchfield and Spicer and company, but they're guilty of it too because they go on their tangents. Obviously, we all are about, they're talking shit about CNN or MSNBC, and I get it, but because now that's the game is they got to take fly shots across the bow, but these left-leaning networks like CNN, they take it to the extreme. I mean,
That's why they're doing bad.
It just they have no value.
No,
but then they have those loyalists who like listening to bullshit because they're zombies glued to this idiot box.
Right.
Open yourselves up and just
those people are lost. If you look at this country culturally, you know, the numbers aren't going to lie to you. We might get lied to about what the numbers say, but 81 million people voted for Joe Biden, but yet every major sporting event to the local bar down the street is chanting "fuck Joe Biden." The number one, number two, and number three song on iTunes got banned from YouTube is "Let's Go Brandon." When you start getting involved in American music, this has nothing to do with politics. Maybe a musician might be political. But when something like "Let's Go Brandon" gets to number one and beats out Adele, when people like Tom McDonald comes out with a song, what was the last one, Clown World or whatever, he's a rapper, he raps about like politics and stuff. When they're beating like Nicki Minaj or something in these charts, you're getting 4 million views an hour after you drop your new video. Culturally, we're being told a lie, because these numbers are not lying to us. No one's watching CNN. No one's listening to this garbage. No one's listening. Everybody's playing "Let's Go Brandon" in their car.
Yeah.
You can only keep this facade up and this lie running for so long.
That's also why I think it's important. You like conservatives, libertarians, make culture.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's why we do reviews of guns and talk about Marvel movies and
drink beer and whiskey.
Up, like idiots on Halloween, because like, a lot of people who are conservative probably listen to our show, just like they probably listen to yours, right? You got to make culture. People need culture, stuff to do.
Yeah.
And if you're only allowing the psychopaths to make the culture, then you're going to lose the war.
Well, look at what they're doing to culture. You can't have a comedy show now.
Yeah.
Right. And look what the Daily Wire is doing. The Daily Wire is now they're putting out movies. They're hiring what's her name? Is it Carano? Is it Gina Carano?
Gina Carano, yeah.
So when she got fired from The Mandalorian, they hired her. They're producing a movie right now. The Daily Wire is they have a trailer out. They're actually making a horror movie. They're now bringing Adam Carolla over, and they're doing a comedy show. They just hired that ESPN reporter.
Have to go apply to this.
Yes, that's right. She quit.
They're hiring her, and they're going to now have some sort of sports show. The Daily Wire now wants to be like the conservative version of Hollywood, where they want to make comedy, they want to make movies, they want to make shows, and they're doing it, and their subscriber base is growing. Like I'm a Daily Wire subscriber. I think I pay either $25 or so a month, and I get full access to everything. And they have a lot of content on their site, like Ben Shapiro's show, It's Not Cut, Andrew Clavin,
even Ben Shapiro's reviewing movies. I saw he reviewed Dune. Good. That's what you need to do, right?
He does. He's been
it'll just make my point even more valid. Yes. Where if the Daily Wire comes out with a comedy show and it blows up, it's because people are looking for that type of comedy. Yeah. If they come out with, could you imagine if you just came up with, I know ESPN isn't too political or anything like that.
What?
Well, just listen. Could you imagine if you just came up with like an old school version of ESPN when you just talked about the sports and the stats? People will probably eventually start, even if you're not Republican, even if you're not a conservative, you just want to hear about sports.
Yeah.
I guess I'll come on over to here and watch you.
Right.
As long as they don't go too far right and like shove it down your throat, you'd be a success.
I think it would be a good thing for, like the Daily Wire to also have liberal stuff on the show, right? As long as those people are not advocating for complete control of what you do.
Well, I mean, it's at this point,
it's okay to have different perspectives and ideas and thought processes, whatever. Just you telling me what to do ain't going to fly.
Well, yeah, that's what they got CNN for, though.
Go ahead, Al.
But then, so you look at it and say, I wouldn't want to watch the Daily Wire if they had liberal bullshit on there. I wouldn't. You can get your liberal bullshit over. I see what your point is,
It wouldn't be
And-
bullshit though. Like it's not, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about like them have like a CNN program on there. Like,
I get what you right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. And then like you have Dan Bongino says it a lot on his show, the alternative conservative economy, where conservative banks are opening up and conservative financial institutions and conservative media, conservative pay hosting, like if you have PayPal, but now you have, whatever, and so you're not worried about getting censored. Like let's say you have a Two Doomed Men podcast has a merch store and you're using Shopify or something, and all of a sudden you have a shirt on your store that someone from Shopify says, "Hey, we don't like this," and they say you can't use our platform anymore. You can't make money off your merch through our channels. All right, so now you have to go to an alternative, because again, the left is all about this segregation, and I love how they say they're against it, and they revolutionized it, and they want it from financial institutions. I mean, look what happened to General Flynn when he got a letter, what was it, from Chase saying, "Hey, we're going to close all of your accounts." Basically.
Oh, they backtracked that.
Right, they did. They did.
Because so many people left Chase. They were like, "No, if you're going to do this, like we can't trust you as our bank then."
Right. But the fact is that they did it. And the point is the Democrats love that. They listen, it's no secret that the woke extreme left, they want to do everything they can to eradicate and exterminate conservatism completely off the face of the earth.
They will go full Nazi. Look at the wall, get on the train. Yep.
Well, we'll let them all die out eventually, because being that we're going to give this free access to this pre-K, the 2 years of free pre-K, that we could start indoctrinating kids and just completely fucking up the curriculum to mold those sponge-like brains from pre-K all the way through college, and to show and make little Democrat, socialist, leftists, just like Hitler did with the Hitler Youth.
We were just talking about that.
Just breeding the perfect liberal. And then what happens? Well, the last conservative dies out and we got rid of all that. So now we're just a liberal socialist nation in their eyes, that they would love to see that. And I honestly believe that is in the back of a lot of sick liberals' heads.
I always said it's the Nazis didn't lose. They just got real quiet. They infiltrated and played the long game.
Yeah, I agree. That definitely is in probably the back of people's minds, but I don't see that as happening, right? And I've said this to you a couple times: is like liberals, leftists, whatever you want to call them. I don't really like to call them liberals, but leftists, they don't procreate themselves. A lot of these millennials think the world's going to end in 20 years, and they're all about themselves, and they don't like children and whatnot. If you don't procreate, how is your ideology going to survive? Yeah, you can try and indoctrinate other people's children into your ideology. But if you have a strong family unit, which is extremely important, and raise your kids and be involved in schools, whatnot, you guide your children yourself. So they can try and get a hold of your kids, but I don't see that as a winning. It's never worked in the history of humankind. Though those sort of like totalitarian regimes normally have failed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I let's put it this way. I said to you, I feel like those people are going to be outbred.
Yeah.
As crude as that might sound, conservatives, libertarians, freedom-loving people will outbreed those psychopaths who are not interested in procreating, for the future.
I hope so. And I'm a big advocate now of telling people to pull their kids out of the public school system.
Yes.
And I did it with my 9-year-old, and I could go for hours on why. And I did a whole episode on the National School Board Association and Panorama Education and Merrick Garland, the attorney general, and his son-in-law, and the millions of dollars that are being spent. And then I'm telling everybody, go to your school board meeting and ask the school board if they're a member of the National School Board Association. And if they say they are, that they should demand that they withdraw their membership, because the $17,000 a year that they're paying for dues is taxpayer funded. They're using your money, and then they're taking that money and they're lobbying in Washington to to prevent things like school choice and school vouchers and manipulating curriculum and pushing all of that, things that a lot of people don't support, but they are supporting it by paying their school taxes. And in turn, they're using that money to lobby in Washington to the National School Board Association, which
people don't realize that.
They don't realize it.
Yeah.
And
so glad I don't have kids.
And it's scary. It's scary. I pulled my daughter's in 4th grade. We pulled her out. A lot of families in my school district pulled out, and we're in a homeschool cooperative. She goes somewhere every day for 5 hours. It's unbelievable. Not a
goes to school, right? Without an agenda.
Not a mask in sight. Actually learning things. She said to me today when I picked her up. She goes, you know, I'm learning more now.
Really?
Than I ever did in 3rd grade that I was in last year in my public elementary school.
Yeah.
And it's more people are doing it, and the homeschool population all over the country is growing and growing and growing. I mean, let's bring it back, Little House on the Prairie style, and build one room schoolhouses.
They'll outlaw it.
You'll know you're making a difference.
Yeah,
or,
the second they outlaw it,
as soon as they try and make it illegal.
Well, you're not outlawing homeschooling. And what's also funny is she's in this homeschool co-op for 5 hours a day with all these teachers and over 100 kids from kindergarten to 12th grade. They were all broken up into their age groups and stuff. And not one COVID case. Nobody got sick. We're in November. Nobody's out sick. Teachers aren't out sick quarantining because nobody tested positive for COVID. There's no vax mandate, and there never will be in this place. So again, that's just interesting. But then, they in my school district, they had a couple COVID cases in the high school, and it was pandemonium, but nobody was sick. Nobody was showing symptoms.
Right.
But here you have germ factories, walking germ factories, kids, because that's what they are. They're a cornucopia of disgusting germs.
Glad I don't have kids.
No deadly viruses floating around this place. I just find that interesting.
Yeah, it is, man. I'm that's encouraging though, what you said, especially what your daughter said about how she's learning a lot more. I like that.
Yeah.
Me too.
That's a white pill. That's a white pill right there.
I am too, because she's as dumb as rocks. She sucks at math.
I sucked at math too, and look at me now.
So did I. Look at you now.
Wasn't a very good comparison, maybe, but
Alan, we're doing all right.
You're the man. Thank you for joining us, bro. Why don't you shout out your show again, where everybody can find you?
I appreciate it. The Great Divide Podcast with Alan Jacoby, The Great Divide 1776.com. Find me on Facebook, Instagram at The Great Divide Podcast. And look me up. Watch me. Let's have some fun. I thank you guys for having me. You guys are great.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for coming on. It was a fun time. And remember, this is extremely dangerous to our democracy. Doom Nation.
Off.